president of the SCLC affiliate here in Mobile, organization called Neighborhood Organized Workers, or NOW, asked me if I would fill that position with the register. They had agreed to it, and I said yes.
According to Charles Porter, the late 1960s were a magical time in America as first-time opportunities became available for many African Americans.
Porter achieved several firsts in his lifetime, but the one that happened in Mobile in 1968 was the one that started him on a nearly 40-year career in the newspaper industry.
Porter recently sat down with our Eric Reynolds to talk about how it happened and where the opportunity is taking him. Here's the interview.
Interesting to me how God was preparing me for this. I was the only boy in typing. My first day at the Mobile Press Register, they sat me down at a desk and said, here's your typewriter. It was a manual Underwood. So now it made sense why I took typing.
Charles Porter made history as he sat down at the desk in the Mobile Press Register's newsroom. He was their first African-American reporter. Porter's love of the English language, along with his typing ability, helped prepare him for the historic appointment.
My first real job in teaching was at the school where I graduated from, Mobile County Training School. I loved the language. I did the diagram, and most teachers tried to avoid that because you had to know the purpose of every word in a sentence. I had teachers who taught me who would ask me questions.
While teaching at the high school, Porter learned that as a student, tests showed that he had an aptitude for news reporting.
It was clearly written on one of my tests that I had aptitude in journalism and public relations. But when I saw that, I said, well, this is it. The principal just walked in one day and said, Mr. Porter, can you publish a student newspaper more than one time a year? And I said, yes, sir. That really introduced me to what's beyond English.
The student newspaper was Porter's first opportunity to serve as publisher and editor. He also taught journalism classes. Then, in 1968, a civil rights official offered Porter a job as a news reporter.
President of the SCLC affiliate here in Mobile asked me if I would fill that position with the register. They had agreed to it, and I said yes. It was during that conversation when I learned that they had not had a black American as a news reporter. That was not my aim, to be the first one. Frankly, I was fortunate enough, reflecting on many of the things I tried to write about at the Mobile Press Register. One of the regular beats I had was civil rights in the black community. I had to make sure that the story that I intended to get out was in the top part of whatever I wrote, because invariably the city editor would take my story, 60% of it from the bottom would be torn off and thrown into the trash. That was his way. And I don't think he meant anything toward me. Because of my maturity level, I was able to deal with a lot of things. I don't look back with any remorse. We were able to get a picture of the first black American to be published in the bridal section of the newspaper. First time that ever happened. I have great memories of the Mobile Press Register.
Porter's desire to be a better journalist took him to Tuscaloosa for a master's degree.
And I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
This is 6 years after Governor Wallace stood in the door and said we would not attend the school. Journalism, public relations was what I focused on at the master's level at the University of Alabama. I received a teaching assignment at the University of Alabama in 1969, according to one of my professors, that I was the first black in the College of Communications. He said I could very well be the first black to teach at the university, period.
In the early 1970s, Porter worked in public relations at Tougaloo College and Northwestern University in Chicago. In 1974, a Mobile newspaper called him back to Mobile.
I got a call from Mr. Frank Thomas, who was editor and owner of the Mobile Beacon. He says, I need somebody to take over my paper. So I came to Mobile and took a huge salary cut and became the editor of the Mobile Beacon. After being there for a couple of years, I decided then that I needed to own my own newspaper. I saw the role of inner city differently from any other newspaper. My basic interest was to have some impact on upward mobility of my people. It was an extension of what was in my heart, to show the correlation between crime, illiteracy, and drugs. So I was like someone crying out in the wilderness.
Porter was publisher and editor of Inner City News for 30 years before closing it in 2007.
And his mother called his name Jabez, saying,
He accepted a call to the ministry in the 90s. Today, Porter is still writing, but with a higher purpose.
The last decade of publishing Inner City, and you find God there. I had one of the largest religious sections, but that wasn't all what he wanted me to do. I can look back now and see how God orchestrated my life, my career, everywhere I went. Even before I got serious about him, he blessed me.
In Mobile, Eric Reynolds, Fox 10 News.
Charles Porter is currently serving as acting pastor at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in West Mobile. The church's regular pastor is on military reserve assignment.
Porter is credited with helping start a third newspaper, the Mobile Call and Post, with the neighborhood Organized Workers, or NOW organization.
Porter's resume also includes 2 stints at Bishop State College, from which he retired last year.